Here we are, Anna. Hey, it's so nice to meet you inside Starbucks. This is kind of cool. I like this jam session vibe.
Yay. Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Welcome to Perspectives, the show. I've got a few icebreaker questions that I want to throw at you. Are you keen to play with me here?
Okay. Yep, go for it.
All right. You might want to take a deep breath and tune into higher self and let her answer the questions. Out of all of the elements of the universe, earth, air, fire, water, spirit, which one do you currently have the closest affinity towards?
Currently, earth, hands down.
Yeah? Tell me about that.
I just felt really grounded lately. I've been, and I know we're probably going to talk about this, but I've been going through a season of slowing down, just like tuning in, coming down to earth. And I am a Taurus, so I do have that like grounded earth as my main rising sign. But the funny thing is, when the way I met you was through Lexi D'Angelo's BizWoo school last year. When I was learning about my birth chart, I learned that I have the majority of the elements in my birth chart, or the signs, are of the element of fire. So I do have a ton of fire in my birth chart, but lately I feel like it's been that like grounded earth, coming back down, getting really centered, stable, security has been my priority, and just chilling.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to talk about some of that. I think that's been called. All right. So in this earth elemental vibe that you're in right now, I want you to like let your imagination go wild for a bit and tell me if you were to live in any earthly terrain, terra firma, because this could be outer space, earth as well. What kind of landscape would you be ideally living in? And I'm wondering if there needs to be water in here as well.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's going to be sunny, pretty dry climate, but still rains enough to have some green, lush plants, mountainous, on the ocean or some kind of water, but probably ocean.
We need to have you near the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. In the same imaginary world, this is like, let your imagination go wild. If you were to have a companion animal, like a totem animal, it can be a creature, mythical or otherwise, right? What would it be, your companion animal?
Ooh. That's a really good question.
Knowing the work that you do in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt called to owls. I think they're really cute and just like embody that wisdom.
Yeah. Okay, so now we see you, Anna. Everyone who's listening and watching sees you in the mountainous landscapes with ocean down and around, with this owl as your companion. Okay, so both in this imaginary world and in this one right now, you have a dominant intuitive superpower. I'm curious to hear what that is.
Ooh. My dominant intuitive superpower would probably just be to know instantly what is on someone's heart deep down and what their truth is underneath what they're presenting to the world.
I love that. So in the work that you do as a life and business coach and many other things, I kind of see you as a sacred earth goddess, an advocate of the femininity, the feminine divine, among many other things. But share with me, how does that superpower, one, lead you in the work that you do and drive you to continue doing it?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah, I think, as a life coach, I do see people's potential. I mean, almost to a fault, where it can be frustrating, but I also feel like I have a pretty high bullshit meter, so I can see through if someone is not living true to themselves, and help them unravel all of the stories and the masks and the blocks that they're putting up to shield themselves. Yes. Really digging into that authenticity and and their truth and what they really want in the world. And it drives me because that's my calling. It's just to help show people what they're capable of and who they actually are deep down, and help bring them home to themselves. That just makes me really inspired and excited.
I'm inspired and excited by that as well. And you and I have played in soul Akashic record landscapes together. So having me hear you say all this, I'm like, this is so you, divinely, creatively self-expressed. It is absolutely your calling. So thank you for showing up and answering to that call, because the world is a better place because of it. And with that, I want to invite you to share your perspective now on, I don't know whether we're going to play here in Sacral Chakra rounds or solar plexus chakra rounds. You and I just want this to be like a kind of an unfolding surprise, I guess, knowing that we're playing with both within the Vibeology Club. So let's start with Sacral Chakra rounds. I see you as the advocate for the feminine divine, the earth mother, all that is sacred on the earth. That's one part of you. As well as the beacon of light, the one who is able to see the potential in everybody, like you're saying, and know what's right and wrong, and know the bullshit factor, and call people out on that. Can you call out this old school myth about our menstrual cycle and kind of how we were taught to not embrace it or to shun it? Like, can you call humanity out on that, saying it's bullshit, and tell us how it really is?
Oh, yes. This is so funny. I was just spending some time hanging out with one of my girlfriends who just got the copper IUD inserted 2 days ago. She decided to come off the pill, but she still wanted birth control. So she's getting the ID, but she'll have her natural cycle back. And I was just talking with her about that experience, and I was just so excited for her. We were talking about using menstrual cups, and I don't know, it was just like being an alternative woman. So I feel like the dominant narrative that we're taught when we grow up and start bleeding is that getting your period is normal. Like, it's just what happens to girls, but it's something that happens to you. It's just something that is part of becoming a woman. And, and we're taught that it's something we need to overcome, even through the advertisements. If you watch TV or see a magazine, or even I bought a carton of tampons the other day, and it's like all this messaging on it is about like empowering yourself to overcome your period, or to live your life in spite of your period. And it's like, all the commercials about with all these dancing women who are just like floating around and like doing all the things, and the underlying message is always like it's trying to be empowering. It's like your period is not a disability, and being a woman isn't something that you need to you can still do all the things, but I think at the same time it sends us this false message that we do need to push through all the time, and that it's
pretend it's not happening.
Yeah,
like, just keep on going swimming anyway.
Okay, to have symptoms and have a cycle, and it is still something that it's like if you need to go to the bathroom and change your pad at work, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna hide it, in my pocket. I'm not gonna be out in the open with it. So I think in my own personal journey and in the work that I'm exploring now with my clients, it's all about the process of coming home to yourself and your feminine power. It includes embracing this whole complete cycle, including the menstrual cycle, and including just like learning to love your body and meet your body where it's at, no matter where it's at. Because a lot of women too, what I'm realizing is almost no one has this like perfect healthy cycle. It's like no matter whether you're trying to be pregnant, or you've had a baby, or you've been on hormonal contraceptives, or you have PCOS or another hormonal imbalance, or you've had miscarriage, but every single woman I've ever talked to has some kind of story, and we're not sharing our stories. It's like we don't realize that we are not the only one that's going through whatever we're going through. And so we feel so isolated and alone because there's this shame around not talking about our bodies, which is dumb, because once we're pregnant, that is socially acceptable, right? It's like everyone loves a pregnant woman because it's visually obvious they're carrying a child. But that's just one part of the fertility thing. And just like having your period is the same thing, right? But we celebrate when it goes right, but we just feel ashamed when it doesn't go right or when it's hard or painful. And yeah, I think by just keeping it real, we take back our personal freedom, and we also create this collaborative freedom, this sense of community, and all allow all women to rise.
I love that. I think that word shame, when you said that, it triggered me, even though I didn't realize I had a response to it. It's like, I was brought up, I'm 42 now, so I was brought up in the days where, you're right, period does happen to you, and this might be the case now. Forgive me if I'm like old school mentality with it. But even my wife is a school teacher, and she teaches parts of sexual education. And what the children in schools these days, well, this particular school, it's not mainstream by all means, but there's a real level of acceptance that whatever it is doesn't need to be any different. Like what I'm trying to say is this thing of you don't have to keep on swimming and playing and partying and just pretend that you don't have your period because you can cover it up or wear a tampon. You wouldn't even know. It's like, well, actually I do know because I'm bleeding and my body's telling me that I need to be in my phase of whatever it is. I'm not a pro on all the weeks of the cycle by all means, but the girls these days are given the opportunity to actually settle into that. It depends on how you're brought up and what your mother is teaching you. My wife was taught that periods are painful and you have to suck it up.
Yeah.
Guess who's had painful periods her entire life? Until recently, of this idea of, so you don't get pain. That's like, why is that? Yeah. I've never had huge experiences of pain, but have my own level of it as well. Like, it's never comfortable necessarily. So for our girls now to be taught it's okay to take time out, it's okay to not go to the gym that day or that week because hell, your body needs to do its thing. I want there to be a new movement, and I know it's coming, but it's not yet inside mainstream education. Because the old school way of putting our heads around this, putting it into context is so disturbing. It's so fucked up to the point where I'm an empowered woman with my period, but I still feel like, can I show up like I normally would? No, I had to consider that. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to make sure that I'm planning my schedule to accommodate the fact that I'm going to be lower on energy. I might not want to lift weights. I might want to eat lots of comfort food, and for that to be okay. Now, these are conversations that you're having with your clients every other week. Oh, we might be freezing. I haven't got the greatest internet today, so bear with me.
Oh, yeah, you froze. You're back.
Awesome. Sorry about that. My internet's all dodgy. Tell me about the conversations that you're having with clients. Is this like common stuff?
Yeah, I don't work with every client about this, but if it does come up, or if they are, if they are open to it, I think, and from hearing everything you were saying too, I talk with them about, it's about personal empowerment and also collective empowerment of all women. And it's a different type of empowerment because I feel like the way we were brought up, for those of us who are in our, 30s and 40s, in the past few decades, the women's empowerment movement meant that we had to prove ourselves. Like, we didn't have necessarily, like in our workplaces, we didn't have the luxury, so to speak, of saying, okay, like, I'm going to schedule my life on the period, because we had to prove ourselves and prove to the world that we were just as capable as men.
Yes.
And we had to become more masculine and embody all this masculine energy. And now that we're like growing up and figuring out like, okay, I'm a workaholic. I need to learn how to slow down because my mental health is just crap. That's when I catch women. It's the high achievers, the women who have been very successful their entire lives, but they're starting to realize that they still feel off on the inside, or that they're burning out, or that they just feel completely overwhelmed on the inside and are barely holding it together because they're afraid if they slow down and give themselves what they need, everything is going to fall to pieces. And so it's shifting this view of what it means to be empowered, where it doesn't mean you have to prove yourself and be like a man and just be on 24/7, but it means that living in embodying your cycle, that is empowering, because it's not saying like, oh, you're on your period, so you can't X, Y, and Z because you're weak or you're flawed or you're not as good and you're not as productive. It's more of, no, but you have superpowers and other powers and strengths during this time that it might not look like the traditional go, go, go being productive, but you can still channel your energy in a way that's going to allow you to be even more powerful and more productive. You know, on the upswing, when your energy is back, if you give yourself that space to rest, because everything in nature operates on seasons of growth and rest. And it's okay for us to do that too.
Yeah, it's like that's where a lot of the introspection, a lot of the cultivation and creativity happens in those downtimes. Yeah. And then you step into your proactive realm, which is interestingly solar plexus stuff. Let's talk about that next, where the season is a natural progression. Then you come down and you're more expressive, and then you go into creative energy and dynamic energy. It's like, I want to learn more about my superpowers in my downtime, in my menstrual cycle. I'm going to have to do some more workshopping with you, I think. Can we go into, for this conversation, workaholism? I'm a reformed workaholic. I still default to that. And there was an incredible live that you did recently when you got back from Hawaii. And it was so profoundly obvious to you of what downtime meant for you in that moment, to be away with friends and your partner and really not have to do the hustle. Can you share your perspective, first of all, on workaholism and why it's so freaking unnecessary, but why we might feel ourselves caught up in it and turning to that as a default? It's a big question. It's a big topic.
I mean, I can share my experiences. So my personal experiences have been, because I was always a high achiever as a kid, I think it comes down to, so workaholism in itself, the way I see it, is just one of many different habits or behaviors that we can get into to kind of numb ourselves from really experiencing what our true feelings are, or to hide from feeling feels. It's like, oh no, I'm going to just keep working. It's, for me personally, I would put it on the same level as having an eating disorder or having a substance abuse problem or being addicted to something else. It's like, these are all, yes, they are negative. They have negative ramifications on us, but at the same time, it's a way that our bodies, that we're just trying to take, it's like self-care mechanism. It's like, these are the self-care mechanisms that we're choosing to protect ourselves and shield ourselves. They just so happen to be personally destructive and probably not the best. And so someone who has a problem with binge eating or with drinking or, you know, workaholism, that's like taking them away, anything that's having a negative impact on your health, your well-being, or your relationships, or your performance at work, anything that's preventing you from being your best. You know, we always look at the habit as the problem, when really, no, that's just a symptom of this underlying, usually this underlying emotional wound or something that you're ignoring or suppressing, or maybe in your subconscious you don't even know is there. And so for me, workaholism, it kind of came up for me when I started my business. So 4 years ago, I started doing online health and wellness coaching. And that's when I first opened the door into this amazing, wonderful world of online marketing and online business. And like, I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit, even as a little kid. So just learning that it was so easy for me to make money by showing up online and just being myself and selling things and helping people. It was addicting. I got high on it, and I started to attach, so for me, it becomes a byproduct of me for my whole life, attaching my sense of self-worth to achievements, to external validation, to getting praise from people, to being a people pleaser. Like, I just want to make people happy because I feel like I'm not worthy of love or acceptance unless I'm doing what other people expect of me, and I'm making them happy, and I'm showing up, and I'm, climbing this ladder of success and just like hitting the bars and chasing what one of my favorite personal development mentors, Just Lively, would say, chasing the shiny pennies of, okay, get a scholarship, get a job, get a husband, get a whatever, house, have kids. And it's like, no, there's so much more to life than just what you do.
Checking the boxes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I share? Sorry. No, I've hit the nail on the head somewhere here. And we can pick that up. I tend to compartmentalize chakra health. And there's this beautiful perspective that's come to the light for me right now. And I guess it's not new information, but it's like remembering of how if we were to numb ourselves from what it is that we feel, sacral chakra realms, all about the emotions. Addiction is a sacral chakra dysfunction. So if we go into addiction and we squash the sacral chakra, who's going to kick into gear and try and overcompensate? Solar plexus.
Yeah.
This guy here. Yeah.
It's an escape mechanism. We're just trying to run and hide and protect ourselves from really going through what's happening.
So he can keep on working and taking action, but it's not going to be proactive unless the feminine divine, our sacral chakra, comes and dances with him and brings the yin and the yang, the balance to the table.
Yeah.
This is so perfect. And I'm going to tell the audience that we weren't able to have the topic on sacral chakra health last month because you were in Hawaii. And I'm like, that's okay. We'll just film it a month later. It's fine. I'll just backdate it. But this is perfect because we're tying the two together and getting an understanding of how they play and dance, how they can co-create and do and be and rest together. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting. I just had to share that perspective.
That makes sense too. Yeah. And the cycle comes back into it too, because if you give yourself that creative space and that downtime during the lower energy seasons of your cycle, that is allowing you to connect back in with your, with your divine feminine and your creativity, and it allows you to receive and get into alignment so that when you do come back to the solar plexus and the action and the empowerment during the upswing of your cycle, you're going to be so in line. And it's not going to be just working for the sake of working and being busy just for the sake of being busy. It's going to be no, you are doing your calling. You're fulfilling your purpose and doing what is necessary for you. And if we don't give ourselves that space to just be, then we're not going to be able to find that alignment with ourselves, because we're constantly going to be living in our headspace instead of grounding back down into that feminine figure.
And we'll find ourselves spinning around in circles, being busy, because we've got to do, and we're not constructive or productive about it. I love this. Okay, so to wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to share about? This is interesting because a part of me wants to say, so what kind of words of wisdom would you have for our audience? I'm like, but on the other hand, I want to say, well, is there anything else you want to add in this moment that you feel called to speak of? In regards to this conversation?
To close the loop, just if you are in a space where you know that you've been working too much or putting too much emphasis and energy into your business, and you want to learn how to feel more in alignment with the rest of your life and bring more joy back and fulfillment back into the process. Just kind of okay, what's the first step? How do you learn how to slow down?
Right.
Do all those things. It sounds too good to be true, but I feel it starts with awareness. I realized that I was a workaholic when I would come home from my full-time job, go on my computer, work until 11 or 12 p.m. And my husband told me that he felt neglected. And I was just okay, that was a wake-up call for me, because I had no idea that I was neglecting him.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the turning point when I realized it's great to pour energy and time into your dreams, but don't be so busy building your dreams that you forget to build your life. And that's when I started learning more about how to tap into my intuition, how to slow down. And my very first life coach I ever worked with gave me the assignment of taking 3 hours every afternoon for a week to do something completely non-productive, like watch a really trashy movie or just like color, or do something that was like so not related to my business, and I was not allowed to share it on social media. And it was impossible. I think I only did it one day. Like, it was impossible for me because I needed to share everything. I was like a compulsive social media poster. It was even before Instagram stories. So it's like posting on Instagram like 3 times a day. And but it forced me to know that, hey, if I took some time off in the afternoon, even though I felt guilty and like my inner critic was like, oh my gosh, you're lazy. And my business didn't collapse. I just ended up having more fun. And so that's why going to Hawaii and being able to unplug and just like not give a shit about my business it was only a week. And I did check my email once because I had to email a client, but I did post on Instagram a couple times. But towards the end of the trip, I was just like, I don't even want to turn on my phone or look at my phone because I just want to be present. And then coming home, and the biggest kicker was coming home and not feeling that compulsion to dive right back into work right away and play catch up. Because it is stressful to come home from a vacation and feel like your inbox is overflowing and you're already behind on the month. And I didn't even have that feeling last week when we came home. I just allowed myself the space to just slowly re-enter life. And it's taken me a couple weeks to find my groove again and get back into full steam ahead. But you know what? Everything's fine. Everything is great. And I feel so much happier and more aligned because of it.
I love that. Do you know our vibration shifts? We shift our frequency when we go out of our usual circumstances. So anytime we go away on holiday or even just to visit a friend and have dinner with her, it shifts our frequency. It's like us hopping out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
So when we're away, the reason why we feel like different people, or we're like, oh, what do I do in this space? And sometimes we get a little bit lost. Like, we find ourselves again in another way. We're still ourselves, but it's like a different frequency of ourselves.
It's so inspiring too. I love how you put that. That's exactly how I feel.
That would have been it. So when you hop back into your usual frequency, it's like there's a period, even if it's only minute, of dissonance.
Yeah.
That in-between state that we feel. So that's why it's so damn important for us to settle in to our usual state before we continue to operate as we normally would. When we move home, move our houses, it happens. When we shift new jobs, it happens. Same deal, even if it's only a week in Hawaii, which would be like, bless. And we'd want to do it all the time, of course. It's still going to throw you just as much as shifting house energetically. We kind of pass it off as, oh, I've had a break, I should be fine. But oh, you're like hopping. It's like quantum leaping.
Oh, man. I love how you explain that.
I'm glad that you took the time to settle into it, because it's intuitively what you needed to do anyway, of course. Yeah. Oh, wow. So should we jam together again one day and leave it as this for today? I'd love to do this again with you.
Yeah, let's definitely do this again. Yeah.
You and I are both powerful. Yeah, we do have heaps to talk about. You're a spiritual teacher, as am I. And for us to talk and share our perspectives, actually at soul level, so freaking on point. So I'm going to ensure that you hop on another perspectives episode with us. I'm going to share this one, and I'll share information about how people can learn more about you and play with you as well, because you're up for that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna. Such an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you, Vicki. Yeah, this is my favorite thing, as you know. So, chatting about my perspectives.
Right? All right, my darling. Super amazing. Thank you. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.